This is going to be a very interesting review. I've not really done anything like this before, but you see the cat? There is a cat, but that's not the problem. I'm going to review the Parker Duofold, a modern-made Duofold. This is the Parker Duofold International. There's also a Centennial. There's a couple of different models. This is not the largest model, but I have a writing sample. Oh, it's a cat. I like the cat. I have a writing sample, but the pen itself I don't have anymore. I can't show it to you. Now, before you switch this video off, hear me out for a second. I bought it at a good place in Amsterdam. It was not Akkerman. I got it home, I played with it, I recorded the writing sample when I had used it for a while. And when I was cleaning it, I noticed there was a crack in the barrel. I brought it back to the store and I got all my money back. That's great. I'm very pleased with the service there. But that means I don't have the pen anymore. And I hadn't recorded this part of the video. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk you through the pen. And I have pictures. The pictures were taken by Gourmet Pens. Gourmet Pens, Gourmet Pens, that one. She has allowed me to use her pictures, which is great. I will just superimpose them and I will talk you through the pen. Okay? The Duofold. The Duofold has been around for a long time. This is Parker's flagship pen and it goes back a long, long way. The interesting thing, Duofold has a very rigid nib, hence Duofold. You should be able to write with it through multiple pages, carbon copies, etc. That kind of stuff, so don't expect any line variation when you buy this pen. Alright, the pen I had was black and gold, you can see it here. Black and gold it's not the biggest pen ever. It has a nice cap, 2 gold rings around the cap. It has, of course, the Parker arrow on the clip, and I fail to remember at this point if that clip was introduced with the Duofold model or whether it was introduced with the Parker 51 model. In any case, the modern Duofolds have that arrow clip. The barrel, fairly uniform, straight, and these are cartridge converter filled pens. Okay, it's not the biggest pen in the world, the International. I think the Centennial is a somewhat bigger model. And the cap unscrews and then you get a nib. And the nib actually looks pretty cool. It has an arrow design on it. It says Duofold. This was a broad, it was actually a very nice nib. It was 18K, but as I said, pretty much no spring whatsoever. This was a very rigid nib. And yet I found the design to be very pretty. It was not big. I think it was about number 5 sized nib. There was a pretty cool finial on the cap. This is just a shot of the pen and the cap, Duofold written on the finial, and that's pretty much all I can show you of the pen. I know this is a fairly preposterous review in this sense, but you have seen the pictures, you have heard me describe it. If you want any more, go to pretty much any pen store that does Parker and they will have a Duofold because it's a very common brand. And of course there are millions of pictures online. What did I like about it, what did I not like about it? For me, the pen was a bit on the small side. I definitely enjoyed it. The nib was very nice. It was very smooth. Now, I had some issues with it. It seemed to have a little bit of baby bottoms, which I had to get rid of, but in the end it worked very well, although it is a very rigid nib. I did like the looks. It's a very classical design, and that's very cool. So that's something I really enjoyed. As I said, things I don't really enjoy. It was somewhat small, and that definitely the nib could have been tuned just a little bit better. Nevertheless, I really enjoyed the writing. It was a pleasant writer, and I think that's pretty much all I can say. I will give you the dimensions because we did measure it before we brought it back, and then we'll do a writing sample. And I think you'll just have to look at the writing sample as the most important part of this review. The Duofold, it weighed 22 grams, capped. It had a capped length of 131.7 millimeters, uncapped 123.4 millimeters, posted it was 164.1 millimeters, section diameter was 8.8 to 9.7 millimeters, and the barrel was 9.9 to 11.6 millimeters. Let's do the writing sample. I hope this was useful, even though it was a somewhat odd format with pictures and all, but I do think this should have given you at least a rough overview of the pen. Very popular model. Guys, I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Alright, here we go with the Parker Duofold. This is a broad nib, and this is Kaweco Paradise Blue. Alright. The nib writes extremely smoothly, but then again I have smoothed it out, so that was the idea. Fast writing. As you can see, runs pretty good, runs pretty well too, no skipping, etc. As to wetness, well, I have increased the wetness of the nib, so that too was kind of the idea that it would be wetter. It is a bit wetter, so that's good. Line variation. It's a fairly rigid nib, as is to be expected from a pen called Duofold. It was called Duofold for a reason. But you can squeeze out a little bit of line variation, but it's very, very minimal. Alright, for those of you who enjoy reverse writing, it can be done, and then this one definitely goes from a broad to a fine. And that's pretty much all there's to it. So, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.